Welcome to the Character Advantage podcast, where sport and the human spirit collide. Because the game will end, but the growth lasts forever. The scoreboard is temporary, the heart is forever. Here's your host, Coach Dan Williams.
Hey everyone, Coach Dan here. And as the year has come to a close now, I wanted to pause and not talk about algorithms or views or my content strategy for the next year, but to really talk about people. Because a year ago, when I started the Character Advantage YouTube channel, I honestly didn't know what would happen. I just knew this, that something was missing in youth sports, and it wasn't talent, it was character. And so I started this channel as a place to talk honestly about the heart and the heart that's behind performance. So for athletes, parents, and coaches who feel the pressure but don't want to lose that joy, the relationships, or that long view, this channel's for you. And in fact, the fact that you're here and watching is a response to the message landing. It tells me that this matters. So this last year was my first year. It was my beginning of a journey for me. And before I go on, let me recap who I am. I started this whole journey, and let me recap my story. I'm a coach. I was a parent of a D1 athlete. Now, before I was a coach, I was an athlete myself, played collegiately, and I made it all the way up to the semi-pro level. And today, I coach athletes at the local level, and some of my athletes that I still train to this day have made it to the professional level. And even some athletes that I train are Olympic level athletes that reach out to me. And at every stage, I've learned, every stage has taught me something different about character. It's taught me something different about pressure, the expectations, and the growth that come on that journey that you're on right now. So this channel has become a place to explore some ideas like why performance gaps aren't failures, but invitations. Why effort without character collapses under pressure. Why confidence doesn't come from outcomes, but comes from alignment. And why the scoreboard tells one story, but the heart tells another. Now, I shared stories in a lot of my videos last year, and some of them were personal, some were painful, and some still are unfolding because I believe stories shape hearts better than lectures ever will. And you know what surprised me most this past year, wasn't the response, it was who responded. Parents, coaches, former athletes, current high school athletes, college, professional, and Olympic athletes who felt stuck, overlooked, or burned out all reached out to me. You reminded me that this conversation isn't a niche. Is that niche? That's probably how it's really pronounced. It's necessary. It means something to you right now. It's important. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to those who subscribed, who shared my videos with friends, who sent messages, commented, They showed honesty, they showed vulnerability, and it really showed that you trusted me with a piece of your story. Now, you know, you didn't just join a YouTube channel, you joined a conversation. And every time you choose character over control, process over panic, relationships over a resume, you reinforce why this work really matters. And here's the reality: we are all at a crossroads in youth sports. Last year, the US Congress, held a hearing titled Benched: The Crisis in America. And I think they called it something, Youth Sports and Its Cost to Our Future. Now, that alone in the title tells us something. When national leaders are asking, can we fix youth sports? We have to pay attention, because what we're seeing everywhere is this: burnout at a younger age, anxiety replacing joy, parents feeling powerless, kids feeling defined by their performance instead of purpose. And at the center of it all is a lack of character development. Not because people don't care, but because no one ever showed them how to guide character intentionally. And here's what I believe deeply: you don't fix youth sports by changing leagues. We fix it by equipping parents. Parents are the only constant on an athlete's journey. Now, coaches change, teams change, playing time changes, but parents remain. And whether you realize it or not, you are shaping your athlete's inner voice, how they respond to pressure, relationships, and the failure, and how they define success. You do this not through speeches, but through presence. That's why I believe parents can be the greatest character guides for youth sports, if we're willing to step into that role with intention. Now, before I go any further, I want to speak directly to you athletes who've been part of this channel this year as well. And that's you. This message was always for you too. Some of you found this channel because you feel stuck or overlooked, or you feel like this gap between where you are and where you want to be or could be is getting heavier. And here's what I want you to hear clearly: you're not broken, you are not behind, and you're not defined by your last performance. What I've tried to show this past year in my videos is that the hardest part of sport isn't learning skills. It's learning how to respond when pressure exposes you. And that's where character shows up. Character is what keeps you steady when you're benched, the call doesn't go your way, when your confidence dips, or the game asks more of you than you think you have. So if you're listening, reflecting, and you've been growing this year, even quietly, that matters. You're not just building a career in sport, you're building who you're becoming because of sport. And that story is still being written. And I also want to speak directly to the coaches out there. If you're a coach who found this channel chances are you already feel that tension. Like me, I want to win. You want development, you want standards. But also, that development isn't linear and that pressure exposes more than technique. And leadership is about shaping people, not just systems. So, this channel will never be about anti competition, it's pro formation. Because when two athletes have equal skill, equal preparation, and equal opportunity, character is what separates them. And as coaches, we're on that front line of the crisis in youth sports. You see the burnout, you feel the pressure of the parents, you manage that emotional weight that athletes carry into training every day. So, my hope is that this work has given you language, perspective, and a permission to coach the whole person, name the heart issues without shaming, and partner with parents instead of competing against them. The future of youth sports doesn't belong to the loudest voices. It belongs to coaches who are willing to lead with clarity, humility, and courage. And if that's you, thank you for staying in the fight. So that brings me to what I'm working on for this first quarter of 2026, and it's the Parents Playbook. This isn't another parenting manual. It's not a set of rules, and it's definitely not about controlling outcomes. The Parents Playbook was born from my own journey as a parent and how I learned how to guide without gripping, lead without lecturing, and help my child grow when skill, competitiveness, or desire felt stuck. At its core, this playbook helps parents answer one hard question. If I can't control skill, how do I still help my child grow? And the answer is this: you multiply skill by shaping the heart behind it. The Parents Playbook gives parents a clear framework for understanding growth gaps, a way to measure what the scoreboard never shows, and practical tools, stories, reflection questions, and scorecard to help guide the character in your athlete over time. It's built around one simple truth: skill gets you into the game, but character takes your skill and multiplies it 10 times further. And yes, I am looking forward to 2026, not because sports are getting easier, but because parents are getting more aware. They're becoming more intentional. They're becoming more courageous. And I see it all the time. They're becoming more willing to lead with character instead of fear. So, in my first year of Character Advantage, if it showed me anything, it's this: people are hungry for a better way that starts at home, that continues on the sidelines, and shows up in how our kids learn to compete, fail, recover, and grow. And I want to thank you for being part of this first year. Thank you for believing that the scoreboard is temporary, but the heart is forever. So let's keep going together.